The ATM screen goes dark after your transaction. It is 8:45 at night. The parking lot is quiet. You just deposited cash, a few $1,000s, money you saved over several months, money from your work, your side jobs, your careful budgeting. You put your card back in your wallet and walk to your car. Your phone buzzes before you even start the engine. It is a notification from your bank. Not a confirmation of your deposit, something else. It says your account activity has triggered a review. It says a hold may be placed on recently deposited funds pending verification. You read it twice. You deposited your own money, money you earned, money you saved. You did not do anything wrong. And yet something in that deposit, the amount, the timing, the pattern, flagged a system you did not know was watching. Now you are sitting in a dark parking lot wondering what just happened, who was notified, and whether this connects to anything bigger than a bank review. Most people who receive this kind of notification do one of two things. They call the bank and say the wrong thing, or they do nothing and let the hold become something they cannot easily undo. Both of those responses cost people money and peace of mind that they did not need to lose. What a financial compliance attorney charges $250 per hour to walk you through is in this video. Stay with me. I am Jacob, and I reviewed the official documentation from the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the Bank Secrecy Act, IRS deposit reporting regulations, and the specific rules that govern how banks flag, hold, and report cash deposits. Everything here comes directly from FinCEN.gov, IRS.gov, and federal banking law. Before we go through this, the rules around cash deposits and what they trigger at your bank are not well understood in immigrant and senior communities, and the misinformation spreading right now is causing people to make panicked decisions that create real legal problems. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so accurate information reaches you before a rumor does. And join our WhatsApp community, link in the description, where we share confirmed financial and immigration updates the moment they are verified. Now let me show you exactly what happens when you make a cash deposit and what your rights are at every stage. Here is what is actually confirmed under federal law. Under the Bank Secrecy Act codified at 31 U.S.C. 5313, banks and financial institutions are required to file a currency transaction report, a CTR, with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network for any cash transaction that exceeds $10,000 in a single business day. This includes deposits, withdrawals, and exchanges. This requirement has been federal law since 1970. It applies to every person, regardless of citizenship, immigration status, age, or income level. The CTR goes to FinCEN, a division of the Treasury Department that analyzes financial data for signs of money laundering or financial crimes. A single CTR does not automatically trigger any law enforcement action. It is a data report. It enters a database. In the vast majority of cases, it goes no further. Here is what is being shared in community groups right now that is not accurate. There are posts saying that if you deposit more than $10,000 in cash, the police are automatically called, and your immigration status is checked within 24 hours. That is false. There are also posts saying that banks are now required to report all cash deposits over $1,000 to the government. That is also false. The reporting threshold under the Bank Secrecy Act remains $10,000 for a currency transaction report. The $1,000 figure being circulated is not a current federal law requirement for standard deposits. Believing inaccurate thresholds causes people to structure their deposits in ways that are actually illegal, and I will explain exactly what that means in a moment. Now let me break down exactly what happens at each deposit level and what your rights are. The first thing to understand is what actually triggers a bank hold on your deposited funds, and it is not always about the amount. Banks have the legal authority under the Expedited Funds Availability Act, codified at 12 U.S.C. 4001, to place a hold on deposited funds when certain conditions exist. These conditions include deposits that exceed a certain threshold at a new account, deposits made at an ATM rather than at a teller, deposits that the bank has reasonable cause to believe may not be collectible, and deposits that represent an unusual pattern compared to your normal account activity. A hold can last from 1 business day up to 7 business days, depending on the reason. During the hold period, the funds are in your account but are not available for withdrawal. When you receive a hold notification, the exact words to use when you call your bank are these: "I am calling about a hold placed on my recent deposit. I would like to know the specific reason for the hold, the exact date the funds will be released, and whether there is any documentation I can provide to expedite the release." Say that. Write down everything the agent tells you. Get the agent's name and the reference number for the call. Do not say, "I need this money urgently because I have bills to pay." Do not say I do not understand why this is happening. I am an immigrant and I am worried about government involvement. Keep the call factual and specific. A hold on a deposit is a standard banking procedure. Your job is to understand the timeline and whether documentation accelerates it. Immigration attorneys and financial counselors charge $225 per hour to coach clients through exactly this interaction. You now have the same preparation. The second thing to understand is the suspicious activity report, and this is the report that most directly affects immigrants and seniors who make irregular cash deposits. A suspicious activity report, a SAR, is filed by the bank at its own discretion when a transaction or pattern of transactions appears unusual, inconsistent with the customer's account history, or structured in a way that suggests an attempt to avoid reporting thresholds. Unlike the CTR, which is automatic and threshold-based, a SAR is judgment-based. The bank's compliance department makes a decision to file it. A SAR goes to FinCEN and can be shared with law enforcement under specific legal circumstances. Here's what triggers a SAR that most people depositing cash do not know. If you make regular deposits that are consistently just below the $10,000 CTR threshold, for example $9,500 or $8,900, and this pattern continues over multiple transactions, the bank's compliance system is designed to flag that pattern as potential structuring. Structuring under 31 U.S.C. 5324 means deliberately breaking up transactions to avoid the reporting threshold. It is a federal crime regardless of where the money came from. The law does not require that you intend to launder money. The deliberate act of staying under the threshold to avoid a report is itself the violation. Never deposit amounts that are consistently and suspiciously just under $10,000 after a period of normal smaller deposits. Never tell anyone, including a bank teller, that you are depositing in a certain amount to avoid triggering paperwork. If you have legitimate cash to deposit that exceeds $10,000, deposit it in full in one transaction, provide your identification accurately, and let the CTR process run. A single CTR with accurate information is a routine administrative event. A SAR for structuring is a federal law enforcement matter that can escalate far beyond a bank review. Consider what happens when someone does not know this. A senior immigrant receives cash payments from 2 part-time jobs and saves them over several months. She has heard that depositing over $10,000 at once causes problems, so she deposits $9,800 one week and $9,600 the following week. The bank's compliance system flags both transactions as a structuring pattern and files a SAR. Law enforcement receives the report. A routine inquiry is opened. Her account is reviewed going back 18 months. She is contacted by a federal investigator asking questions she does not know how to answer. The entire situation originated from a misunderstanding about a reporting threshold in an attempt to avoid something that was not actually a problem. That outcome was completely avoidable. The third thing to understand is what happens when a deposited check, not cash, is placed on hold and then bounces. This situation affects many immigrant seniors who receive payments by personal check from family members, employers, or business arrangements. When you deposit a check and the bank makes the funds provisionally available before the check clears, and then the check is returned unpaid, the bank will immediately reverse those funds from your account. If you spent those funds before the reversal, your account goes negative. The bank may charge overdraft fees. And in some cases, if the pattern repeats, the bank may file a SAR based on repeated returned deposited items. The exact protection to use in this situation is to ask your bank before depositing any large check. What is the hold period for this check, and when will the funds be fully cleared and guaranteed available? Do not spend deposited check funds until the bank confirms the check has fully cleared, not just provisionally available. Those are 2 different statuses, and most account holders do not know the difference. The fourth thing to understand is how large cash deposits interact with SSI eligibility for immigrant seniors receiving supplemental security income. This is the intersection most other channels never cover. SSI is a needs-based benefit with strict resource limits, currently $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple as of the most recent SSA update. If you deposit a large amount of cash into your bank account and your total countable resources exceed the SSI resource limit, your SSI payments can be suspended or terminated for the months your resources were above the limit. SSA conducts periodic reviews of SSI recipients' financial accounts. A large deposit that pushes your countable resources over the limit, even temporarily, even for 1 month, creates a potential overpayment situation that SSA will seek to recover. If you receive SSI and you need to deposit a large amount of cash, an inheritance, a settlement, savings accumulated over time, contact SSA at 1-800-772-1213 before making the deposit and say exactly this: I receive SSI and I am anticipating depositing a sum of money that may affect my countable resources. I want to understand how this will affect my benefit and what my options are. That call, made before the deposit, gives you the information you need to manage the timing and protect your benefits. Making the deposit first and calling SSA after is a much harder conversation. The fifth thing to understand is your right to a written explanation from your bank for any hold, freeze, or account restriction placed on your funds. Under the Expedited Funds Availability Act and Regulation CC, your bank is required to provide you with a written notice explaining the reason for any hold on a deposit and the date the funds will be available. If you receive a verbal explanation over the phone but no written notice, you can request one in writing. Say to the bank, I am requesting a written notice of the hold on my account as required under Regulation CC. That notice becomes documentation you can use if you need to dispute the hold or if the hold affects other financial obligations. Here's your exact step-by-step plan for protecting yourself when you make a cash deposit. Step 1. If your deposit is over $10,000, deposit the full amount in one transaction. Provide your government-issued ID when asked. Do not split the amount across multiple days to avoid paperwork. That behavior is federal structuring under 31 U.S.C. 5324. Step 2. If you receive a hold notification after a deposit, call your bank and say, I am calling about a hold placed on my recent deposit. I want to know the specific reason, the exact release date, and whether documentation can expedite the release. Write down everything. Step 3. If you receive a written hold notice from the bank, read it carefully and keep it. It must state the reason and the release date under Regulation CC. If it does not, request a compliant written notice. Step 4. If you receive SSI and you are planning to deposit a large amount of cash, call SSA first at 1-800-772-1213 before the deposit and ask how it affects your countable resources and your benefit. Step 5. Never deposit cash in a pattern that is consistently and deliberately just under $10,000 after a period of normal smaller deposits. If your deposits look like structuring, the bank can file a SAR regardless of where the money came from. Step 6. For deposited checks, ask your bank before spending any funds. Are these funds fully cleared and guaranteed or only provisionally available? Do not spend provisionally available funds from a deposited check until the check is fully cleared. Here are the free resources that support everything in this video. FinCEN information on currency transaction reports and suspicious activity reports, fincen.gov. IRS cash reporting information, irs.gov. Federal Reserve information on Regulation CC and deposit holds, federalreserve.gov. SSA information on SSI resource limits, ssa.gov. Taxpayer Advocate Service for IRS-related financial issues, Taxpayer Advocate, irs.gov, or 1-877-777-4778. Free financial counseling for low-income and senior households, consumerfinance.gov. Immigration and Benefits Legal Aid, immigrationadvocates.org. One important warning before I close. There are people in immigrant communities right now charging fees to advise on how to deposit cash safely and avoid bank reporting. Some of them are telling clients to use multiple accounts at multiple banks to spread out large deposits. Using multiple institutions to deliberately avoid reporting thresholds is the same structuring offense as doing it at one bank. The law covers patterns across institutions. Anyone charging you money to help you avoid bank reporting requirements is giving you advice that puts you at legal risk, not advice that protects you. Use licensed financial counselors, licensed attorneys, and the free government resources I just listed. Never pay anyone who tells you they know how to keep your deposits invisible to the government. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a hold placed on a deposit without a clear explanation? Did you know about the SSI resource limit connection before watching this video? Drop your question in the comments below. And tell me, which country are you originally from, and which state are you watching from right now? Your question may become the next video on this channel. I am Jacob. You have rights in this country. Knowing them is not defiance. It is protection. Take care of yourself.